clearly. I can see you. Are we okay for voice and sound? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. So today's yogic movement theme is support, and we're going to talk about our quads, which are the quad 4 muscles of your thighs on the front. There's one on the outside, your lateral quadricep. There's one on the inside, your medial quadricep, which is the most frequently weak quadricep that we have, and it is really important for knee stabilization. So that's a big one to work on, medial quadricep. And then there's two in the middle. There's a deeper one and a surface one. Vastus medialis I usually pick up because it's one of your hip flexors. Yeah, we talked about hip flexors. So quads, we'll do some of those, and then also the idea of balance, which of course relates to your hips most directly, but also we're going to talk today about feeling support from the floor. And the idea of support is basically that we want to have a dynamic, a moving, bouncy, like shocks on a bike or a car, active practice of pressing into the floor and thinking about the physical, I'm really trying hard to avoid saying the word energy, but physical energy of pushing into the floor, rebounding back up into your body. So that the effort that you press into the ground then reflects back up into your body, and that helps you feel lifted and supported. Now the opposite of this would be if you were like squeezing your muscles really hard and bracing yourself and just pressing the floor fiercely. And everybody just try that for a second. Like really make yourself stiff, push down on the floor. And if we were in class together in person, I would come by and I would gently poke you, and you'd see that poop, there's like no balance at all when we do that. Yeah, it would just feel like, what does it feel like to make yourself stiff? Smash those legs down on the ground, and then you can just kind of be pushed over like a board in the wind. So we want to get out of that practice and instead have this soft bounce, this strong soft bounce, yeah? So let's just take a couple moments here, and I just want you to swish side to side, yeah? So I'm letting my quads do some work as I'm bouncing in my quads a bit. And we're going to start with a little bit of movement, and then we'll come and find our stillness, yeah? So let your shoulders roll back in big circles as you're just walking around, bending and straightening your knees. Finding your breath. We're going to sway, let's swing our arms. And notice how like that pendulum of your arms really accentuates the swish down in your knees. Maybe let's sway our arms back. Roll those shoulders back a few more times, and then forward and back. We're going to roll our chest halfway over and sway side to side so you can relax those necks. And anywhere you want to swing, swing. Try not to knock over any priceless vases in your living rooms. Heirlooms. Okay, we're going to bring our legs a little bit apart, but underneath your hip bones, and we're just going to do a sway that I always think of as being wave-like, and I'm going to hit my ceiling if I do it all the way, but I encourage you to feel tall while you do this, even though I won't extend my arms all the way. So we're going to have that swing feeling, so soften all down. We're going to swing our arms. When they come back, our legs will straighten a little bit, and we're also going to hollow up and in our pelvic floor and our belly block, yeah? So we're going to drop and sway. And I want you to lift up in your belly. And since your head's down, you can see that your knees and your front toes are staying aligned, yeah? All right, slow that down a little bit, and I want you to feel that rebound that gives you a little hover. Come up and up. Inhale as you reach up, and then exhale. All right, we're going to bring it up. And this time, as you inhale and rise up, can you bring your pelvis a little bit forward over the balls of your feet and find a little hover. Good, we're going to put all those things together. We're going to exhale down, sway, inhale up, hover. It's so hard without being able to reach. In my short basement, just breathe here. All right, I'm going to give you another addition, which is on your way up. We're going to, if you have room, circle your arms all the way through, and then hover through, up. So exhale, sigh, arms circle, and rise up. And follow your own breath. You don't need to be entirely. But we're just starting to connect that bouncy down, bouncy down, bouncy up, hover. Try it with your legs all the way together. Bouncy down, bouncy up. Squeeze those legs together, find your center feeling. Bouncy down, bouncy up. Soft down, soft down, soft up. One more time. Centering, pelvic floor, in your thighs. Let your arms open wide so you can stay on your toes. So you feel your ankles working hard. Think about your thighs pulling together instead. And let those heels down. And all the way down to your forward fold. Go ahead and drop your head. Soft on the back of the thighs. Gently shake your head now. And see if you can really release your arms, your shoulders, your upper back. Maybe shake your ribs now. Big breath. And then nod your head yes. Just moving your nose like 2 inches. Noticing the tension in the back of your neck. Sigh. And drop those hips back. See if you can come into a super low squat. Squeezing those legs together. Push into the earth. And back to your forward fold. Drop your head. Big exhale. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, drop your hips back. Trying to keep your waist even, left and right. You're pushing into your heels, really getting your hips back. Push into the earth to come back to forward fold. Inhale, rolling all the way up. Big breath, arms coming up and around to the center. Drawing down your center line, let your eyes close. Let your hands come to namaste. Shoulders back to your hips. You speak softly. We are cups of energy. Breath is calm. Your next job is simply to keep your eyes closed and rock backwards and forwards. So you're allowing the weight shifting into the balls of your feet and toes, and then you're allowing your weight to shift into the heels of your feet. And just feel that sensation, because we're building kinesthetic awareness of what it feels like to have your weight forward back. And then try side to side. So I think about just leaning my hips a couple inches to the left. That makes me fall to the left and a couple inches to the right. And as I do that, I can feel the weight of my feet roll from one side to the other. So what does it feel like when the weight is on the outside of your feet? Go ahead and open those eyes, lift your arms up and breathe back in. Alright, let's get our move on. Big breath in. Big exhale. Take your arms back. Both hands today. Send your hips underneath yourself. And open the chest, dropping your shoulders down, reaching your thumbs towards your heels. Big breath in. Inhale, release the arms, passing through forward fold the soft knees down to the floor. Inhale up again, centering those shoulder blades back. Taking your hands and squeezing them in. Feeling your legs squeezing in. Feeling the spring in the floor of your support. Shoulders back. Soften down, reaching your tailbone as far back as you can. Feel the support here. Be really clear about knee and toe alignment. When we're in these squats today, and there's going to be a lot of them, it's really important to keep your pointer finger toe and the center of your knee aligned up. Yeah? Don't let those knees pass your toes. Keep it back by reaching your tailbone back. Also put your arms forward if you need a little help with balance. Go ahead and settle down. Stepping back to high lunge with your right leg back, left leg front. Go ahead and rock through. And shift your back leg to warrior one. Come on. Keep your hands down to your pelvis. Soften through that front leg. Take your back leg up. Make sure we're actively turning it out. Re-square, re-center, and down you go. Your hope is that even though we're in warrior one, it's really hard to turn out this leg and move it forward, that your whole back edge of the foot is on the floor here. Now front leg, we're reaching that front knee forward until the knee is over the heel or maybe the center of the foot, but definitely not the ball of the foot. If your knee is as high as the ball of your foot, it's kind of separate your legs a bit further. Alright. Arms up. We're going to hold our palms gently together. We're going to soften that knee to the center of your foot at most. And straight. Go ahead and look down today at your knee and maintain that knee-toe alliance. Down, switch to high lunge, step back to your plank, which could be modified plank or full plank each time you come to it. Hands under your ribs, elbows back, chaturanga. And down. Inhale, legs together. Exhale. Passing back up, coming to your downward dog. Roll those shoulders back. Remember that anytime you're coming to downward dog, it's always okay. Go down to child's pose and you can keep the rest. The downward dog is building that endurance we were talking about, yeah? And eventually, downward dog feels like a break. I swear it's true. It definitely isn't when you first start, though. Alright, big breath in. Look at your hands. I noticed that my hands have gotten a little too far apart, which means they're wider than my shoulders. So I'm going to readjust. Pointer fingers pointing straight forward. I'm going to roll my shoulders back. I'm going to take my right leg up in the air. I'm going to draw my head back down. And I'm going to leave my right leg bent today, and I'm just going to use my glutes to push straight up in the air. So using your right glutes, legs are parallel. You can bend your left leg if that's what you need to keep it in line. Just lifting that right leg. Alright, straight. Get straight. Somewhere nearby. Send it through. And rock through that high lunge. Before you go on, go ahead and take that back leg down. Back knee down. And when I do that, I notice my front knee is passing all the way close to the ball of my foot. So just gonna keep an eye on that. Go ahead and tuck your back leg, reach back, switch to warrior one. Find your turnout, center, push into the floor to rise up. Go ahead and open your arms wide. Place your hands on your pelvis. I notice my pelvis is not flat. It's still kind of open, so I'm going to step out a little bit wider to start with today. Find my open pelvis. And then I'm going to do a new thing. I'm going to take my back leg, aka your left arm up, and I'm going to twist around and place my arm on the outside of the front leg. And I have my other hand here just to show you how totally creased and folded together your front leg hip is. It's very smooshed together in here. And then I'm going to lift my right arm up. And I'm going to come down. I'm going to change my back foot to high lunge. I'm going to rise back up. Both legs are bent. Okay. In high lunge. Down you go. Twist your chest. Take it around. Elbow to the outside of the knee if you can. And then I'm going to make a fist with this hand. Just a soft fist so that I can press my other hand onto it. Help myself twist further. Little bounce in your hips. Tiny micro bounce. Pushing into the floor. Alright, release that down. Stepping together. Forward fold. Drop your head. Inhale. Exhale. Down. Roll it up. Grab that imaginary ball behind you. Hold it way back, chest up. Lift your chest like you're on the front of a pirate ship. Bend your knees. Good, settle down. Left leg back. Rock press. Step it out, warrior one. Scoop it up. One more time, palms together. Lifting your heart. Rest into the earth. Rest down into the earth. Arms behind. Hands down. Change your back foot. Both feet together. Bring your legs all the way together if they work. Shift forward into your plank. And heart forward and slower down slowly. 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 Press your knuckles, press your fingers down. Inhale. Up and back. Walk that off. Bring in the sweaty today. Go ahead and wipe them off. Alright, we're going to take our left leg up. Turn the front today. You can see. Hopefully I can see that I'm down straight. And I want to keep my left leg square and my hips square. Yeah, for me that means I do have to center my thighs to that line. Press that heel straight up. Press. Use your glute. Oh, be square. You can bend both knees if that makes it easier. I find bending both knees makes it easier for me to keep me square, and that lets me have more of a workout in that glute. All right, lengthen, strengthen. Big breath in, push the floor away with your hands. Exhale, sweep it all the way through. Go ahead and stay right here. Both legs bend and press. And soften. And press. Stay right there. Oh, I love this song, but YouTube does not like me to play it, so skip there. Okay. Turn that back leg to warrior one. Think about sweeping your back thigh in towards your center line. Yes. Getting sweaty, that's awesome. Yes, we're definitely working the big muscles in a sweaty manner today. So if you think about your back heel swishing in towards the center line, it's going to help to square your hips by activating that inner thigh. Yeah, so sweep that leg. Squeeze it as though you're going to sweep it back. Let's bring the chest up. All right, back leg arm is going to come across the body. Press into the floor to help you balance. Support into the floor. Twisting into your front leg. Release that. Come on up. Change your back leg to high lunge. Find square again, friends. Remember to bring your pelvis back to vertical as much as you can. And then we're going to twist our shoulders towards the front thigh. We're going to bring the knee all the way to the outside. It's okay if you can't get down there. You're putting your forearm on the outside of that knee. And the two things press together. So you're opening that leg out into the arm. Give yourself balance, yeah? You can get your elbow all the way there. With soft fist. Other hand goes on top. And then you press down to help twist your torso some more. Press into the floor. Find your breath. Release those hands. Good job. Push together. Forward fold. Let's walk our forward fold wide as your mat, and just sway side to side. Exhale. Drop your hips to the back of the room. Roll it. Okay, so we're still in this wide as your mat position. It's not like super wide angle, but probably as wide as your mat. We're going to keep those knees behind the balls of our feet, and we're going to lean back with our tails, keeping your abs in. Sorry, I'm wearing this shirt that's like super baggy in the front, so I don't need to make it look like I'm sticking it out, because I'm definitely using my belly lock to help my balance. Yeah, so belly lock. Go ahead and squat back. Look down and check that your knees and toes are in the same direction. You might be swinging out. You would feel weight on the outside of your foot if that's happening. Yeah? So squeeze those inner thighs back together to get back to your strong spine. I'm going to tie up my shirt, guys. Sigh, get a little deeper. Find your breath. This should feel intense. Yeah. A little more. All right, we're going to push the breath away. Whoosh. Shoulders back. Lean over. Hands to your hips. Go ahead and put your toe on the ground. I want you to straighten one leg up so you get super uneven. This one's pointed foot, this one's flat foot, and my hips are sideways. Drop it down. Can you get it all the way out of the other way? Flat. Lift. Flat. Drop. Flat. Lift. Flat. Drop. Okay. Now I want this tailbone to still stay vertical while we're doing this action, but I'm going to try to lift my right leg off the floor. Left knee and toe are forward. I'm This is sort of a balance game you're going to play with yourself. Can you do that hip action with your toe off the ground? Remember to double check that your tailbone's not scooting out behind you as you move through. Lifted hip, flat hip. It's okay if you touch a little bit here. Drop it down close, lift, flat, flat. Try it for this side. First with your pointed foot, just feel that. Both legs are straight, one hip is pointed, and it lifts one hip up. And feel the other way. Feel a stretch on the outside of this hip. And then start to play with that action with the toe on the floor. Notice how when we drop the hip, the temptation is definitely for the hip booty to slide out, yeah? And that's not bad, it's just not the control that we're seeking, right? Okay. Can you do it with your toe off the ground? Now see, this could be one of those things that you do even while you're on vacation. You're opened up the fridge and you're like, what do I want to eat for lunch? You just take a foot off the floor and practice your balance while you ponder it. What do I want to eat? Yeah? Nice handy new habits. Okay. Nice and wide again. We're going to take our full back and we're going to lean it out forward. Go ahead for a moment, drop your bellies, and then come back up. Drop them again, drop it to your pelvic floor, and then hone your belly up. And now I want you to wrap your arms all the way around and give yourself the biggest hug you can possibly manage. Keeping those fingers around as much as you can. Drop your head, soften your knees, just hang there. Just hang, holding on your shoulder blades. Alright. Center through your legs, pelvic floor, belly lock, lengthen through your spine. Unfurl those arms out to the sides. And then I want you to press your chest and arch your chest out. Now find flat back again. Bring your arms a couple inches lower than your armpits. Squeeze those shoulder blades back together, soften those thighs. Big flat back, broad stance. Alright, we're going to take our tailbone. We're going to swing it down to the floor. Following up. Now I'm going to take my whole torso, whole chest, and shift it forward 4 inches. Come onto your balls of your feet. Good. Squeeze your legs together and press the floor. Find a little balance here. Center and support. The inner thighs is what's going to make your ankles not doing too much work. So use those inner thigh spreads. All right, soft. Now we're going to take those hips onto your right leg. We're going to tip the hips. Let your arm come right down the side of your body. Roll those shoulders back. Bring your heart 2 inches forward and lift your leg. Remember again, on video, this looks like I'm really flat. Super not flat. Let me show you what it looks like sideways. Yeah, definitely not as flat as it looks from the front, right? So let that leg drift forward because I want a strong torso more than I want a long leg. Keep separating and radiating through that long leg and your arms and your head to get it over for your stomach. Lean forward with your whole chest. All right, come back up. Way out. Circle it up. Zip it up. Soft, strong thighs. Push down into the floor. Very good. Soft. Shifting your hips over the left leg. Tilt them. Straighten your left leg. Swing it all forward to rise up. Radiate opposing hands. Radiate through the crown of your skull. up through that belly lock. Feel your fingers stretch longer. Find your breath. All right, come on. Swing it out. Okay, we are going to do it again. Both sides. And this time, we're going to set up just the same. Tilt, lift and hollow, radiate, lengthen through that spine. So this time, once you get to your star, then we're going to add in a little glute to take us back to that flatness that we rise up super forward, yes? And then we're going to add a little glute to spread us flat. So I'm pushing my hip that I'm standing on underneath myself by squeezing that buttock. And bring it up. Sway. Using your breath. Exhale. One more time. Find your breath here. Use your centering thighs. Use your glutes. Softly. Settle down. Set up on the left leg. Forward first. Radiate through that left leg to get it to straight. Find your alignment. Everything a bit forward. And then use your glute to press your hip underneath. Breathe, breathe. It's okay if you come out and start again. That's totally part of the process. Good, come on. Soften. Bring those legs together. Hop it back. Knees down. We're going to just lay down on the mat with our legs together for a moment. Relax. All right, keep your legs elbow together. Lift up through your pelvic floor, please. And lift your belly, abdominal wall, away from your mat. We're going to come up to our Sphinx arms and flop. Breath here, fully relaxed. Okay, let's reset. Pelvic floor, up and in. Belly lock, up and in. Legs, center. So you're bringing your thighs and your knees and your heels together. And if you don't feel your knees and your heels touching, it's because we haven't used our strength to pull it together. This is hard for me, so I expect it's a challenge for you too, yeah? So really working to hold those legs together instead of kind of together. And then we're going to re-engage our core. We're going to roll our shoulders back. We're going to press our elbows into the mat. Let's just do that. Just press. Okay, now that we've done that a couple times, let's clear up our arm alignment. Yeah? We want our elbows to be right underneath our shoulders. And our forearms to be parallel, yeah? It's called the Sphinx for a reason, because it looks like she does. Parallel arms, they're not like this. This would be like the kid watching TV pose. Yeah? So, instead of kid watching TV pose, we're going to the Sphinx. Elbows in back, legs together. Root, chakra, root lifted, core lifted, shoulders back, pressing your heart forward. And release that, we'll leave your arms go. We're going to go root, belly, legs, shoulders back, heart forward. And now take the pressure into not only your elbows where it lands automatically, but press out into your fingertips and knuckles. And release. Big breath. Release up. Belly, legs, shoulders back, elbows, press weight between the fingertips and the elbows. Good. Lift up with your belly. And walk yourself back to your child's pose. And now we're really going to curve that lower back. So press with your hands. Curve, 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 and arch. Get your hips all the way down to your heels. Make sure your toes are not crossing underneath you. You want a nice straight aligned with feet so your ankles get an even stretch. Come up to all fours. Make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders. Your knees are underneath your hips. We're going to drop those bellies. We're going to lift them up. And we're going to drop those bellies. Lift them up. I'm going to adjust my hands. Make sure that my pointer fingers are forward, straight in front of my shoulders. Drop the belly, lift it up. Drop the belly, lift it up. We're going to slide one leg back. And we're going to open the hips on the front. And when I do this, my hand that's on the side comes up to the spider floor. And I'm going to lift that leg up and down. Slow motion, it's a tiny movement. And just trying to feel my balance in the hip and make sure I haven't lost my pelvic floor or my belly line. Okay, try the other side. Shoulders back, elbows in. Pelvic floor, belly, shoulders. And your other leg's going to come up and open. All the way flat. And slow hand of that hip. Feeling your balance. Big breath in over those chests. Follow it out. Squeeze those thighs together. Now if you have very slender thighs, and you can squeeze your thighs together so much that when your knees touch, this is obviously not on my body. Some very slender thigh bodies, when your knee bones touch, then they're actually more narrow than your hip bones, not the outside but the bones. In that case, you might want to not quite squeeze them all the way together, but you're probably not one of those people. That's going to be very, very few people. For most of us, just squeeze the heck out of those thighs. If you have a lot of meat and fat in the middle, then it's more and more work to squeeze them together. So let that be your body's extra challenge. But don't let it be an excuse where we give up. Let it be an excuse where we get fired up instead, yeah? So squeeze those legs together, and we're going to think about the top of our feet pushing into the floor, which is going to be a really big stretch. Push. And remember, we're going to put a little ribbon across our hip bones. You go back into that, and try and balance like a straw or a ribbon across here. Straw and ribbon are like nice, easy things to imagine, trying to keep from falling off. But the first time I thought of the analogy, I thought of a strip of bacon, and that helps me really put a bacon right there. There we go. Alright, arms up and over, hollow out, or hollow up. Find your flat back. You're going to dive your nose, chin, chest. Press up. Placing those knees back down. So I'm in a modified plank. Yeah? Bring your heart forward. And I just want you to feel the feeling of pulling your arms down. Yeah? We set up our arms in front of our shoulders, and I want you to pull those arms down into the mat. So you feel your heart passing from next to your middle of your hand to above your fingertips. Yeah? Pull. Pull. Shoulders touch. Abs in. Bend your elbows. Find chaturanga and hold it in modified plank. Shoulders back. Press it up. Back. Flip your wrists over. Stretch those wrists out. Stop your head. Big breath. Okay, come to all fours, please. We're going to change our hand placement. So let's take your right hand. We're We're going to move it slightly forward, so maybe one hand length forward and one hand width wide. And that's because we're going to do a low half move. So from the side, right hand goes forward and out, right hand in. You're going to bring that back like that again. Bust up and the toe remains on the floor. But I'm going to open my hips up just like we did. And this time I'm going to take my left arm off the floor as well. Most of us will open too wide. So just like with the star pose, I want you to bring your top hand a little bit forward. Get your wrist, shoulder, shoulder aligned first, and then work on lifting the leg. Yeah. You can spin on this knee. You can stay there. Yeah. You can also make the choice to be on the top of this lower foot or to tuck it. Those are all modifications. So let's come back. Let's try the other side. And we'll try some different versions. Okay, so now, left arm forward and out just a little bit. If last time felt like too much forward and out, make it smaller. Right leg's gonna go back. This time I have a touch foot. I'm gonna open my hips first. Root lock, belly lock, shoulders, and move around until you feel your alignment of shoulder, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Your elbow is going to try and hyperextend. I need you to keep it a little soft. Rotate it in, just like always. Come on down. All right, now let's try swinging that knee out. Right side, a little forward, a little out. Your right knee, your left leg's going to extend. Your right knee foot is going to spin all the way here. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that, and you'll notice that my knee and toe on the ground make a little triangle, and that's what makes it really much easier to balance, yeah? So from there, I'm gonna lift up my hips, and I'm gonna shift until my shoulder is over my wrist, and then I'm gonna make this elbow micro bend, swinging it towards that hip. That's really a tough part. I wanna be bigger today, so I'm gonna move my hand out more, and you can rock in and out, find the right spot. Keep coming back to all those locks that we worked on. Pelvic floor, belly lock, shoulders and chest. Reaching, adding your glutes is the final touch. Send it down. Come on through. Child's pose, flip your wrists. On that other side. All fours. Your left leg's going to spin, your right leg goes out. You can choose whether to widen your left arm. I'm going to keep mine the same this time. Bend in the elbow, roll that shoulder back, reaching down. Now the final thing is to get your glute involved, right? And that pushes the hip through. Finding your breath, radiating, pushing into the floor. Soften through that elbow. Back to your child's pose, flip your wrists. Switch us out of this song because otherwise we might all go into Shavasana a little bit early. Okay. Now we're going to do Warrior 3 to half moon standing in a moment, so we're definitely going to have our break. But before we get off the floor, I'd like us to try and stretch our IT bands. That's a really hard place to stretch. So if you don't know where your IT bands, go ahead and start sitting on your buns, and take your finger to the outside of your ankle where this bone sticks out here, and just caress the outside of that, and you can feel this tendon goes up, and there's a divot, right, in the side of your calf. Maybe, maybe not. But on the very side of the calf, we go up that divot line. This is where your iliotibial band is. And it comes up past the knee. And if you grab that medial quadricep, yeah, so lateral quadricep, your outside thigh muscle. Go ahead and give it some big, meaty grabs. All the way up to the outside of the hip. And you can feel that thigh bone on the side of your thigh. So you push through the squishy parts, yeah? So your IT band stands for iliotibial band. And it is a connective tissue band that runs all the way down your tibia, which is the outside of this shin, and all the way up to your ilium, which is your hip bone, yeah? So where the hip bone comes down and attaches to the greater trochanter, which is that bone on the side of your thigh, down the whole outside of the leg. An easy way to visualize this is if you think about athletic pants with the stripes down the outside, or tuxedo pants with the stripes down the outside. That's essentially right where your iliotibial band is, and is very tight for most of us. So I'm going to take a thumb and I'm going to press into that divot there firmly, and I mean like 2-3 inches in. And you should feel something that is very tender. Yeah, because most of us have an IT band that is so tight that it's usually quite inflamed. And when it is tight, that means it is short, and when it is short, that means it's pressing the knee in. Wait, I'm going to get my body up so you can see. Pressing the knee in while we're standing and doing things. And so I can tell, for example, if I go for a long hike, my iliotibial band is tight, but I start to feel a knee ache right here on the inside of my knee. So go ahead and feel up your body on the opposite leg, and then we're going to try and stretch it, yeah? So the little divot on the side of your leg, so your tibial bone goes up the side where stripy pants would have a line. It's on the outside underneath. So if I take my hands around my lateral quadricep and I dig my fingers in right there, that's where the IT band goes and connects really to, I think of it as connecting to the greater trochanter, but it actually connects all the way to your ilium, which is your hip bone. Yeah? So you're thumbing in there, I hope, a little bit. Thumbing in there. Feel that tight puppy? Woo! Now we're going to try and twist. Okay, go ahead and come back up. We're going to step extra wide. No, we're going to start narrow first. Let's do a couple different ways to access this. So I'm going to pop, as we call it in jazz, I'm going to pop my right heel. I'm going to come down to a forward fold, and I'm going to straighten all the way through my left thigh, trying to get to my left iliotibial band. So the more, now I'm going to let this bend knee down and keep dropping my right hip as far as I can. If you're still not getting it, you can take your foot off the floor entirely and just let that hip hang. So notice how far my right hip is way lower than my left. So this is the opposite for you perhaps, but you want to feel the side of the outside of that thigh and hip stretch. And then, can you press back or forward? See if you can get even more into this thing. And now we're going to sneak that bent leg out wide and explore with a wide leg, pushing the hips back and letting the weight shift forward. Sideways a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Notice my hips are still extremely uneven, yeah? Softening the stretching leg, knee and toe together, and straightening it again, and softening. Really trying to get the outside of that. Okay, let's bring the other foot in. Let's start again. Bend one leg, you can pop that heel up at first, and let your hips touch. Put the heel back down if you need more of a tip. You can move the foot slightly back if you need more of a tip of the hips. Feeling the outside of your hip and thigh. Slowly work through the forward back motion. Really try to get the outside. You might get the outside hamstring, you might get a little bit of glutes, including the medius. See if you can get the outside of that leg. Rotate to the side a little bit so you can see the view. Alright, the side. Let that hip tip even more. So I'm shifting my weight to the outside of that foot even. And bend and straighten that leg. Watch the knee and toe. Make sure you're really keeping knee and toe alignment. Really closing those hips. I have a favorite one that we do on the floor, but it's really hard to do without the giving you some personal feedback. So I'm going to save that one for later and say, hey, come take my class in the fall. You'll get real feedback. Okay. Bring those legs together. Let's stand on your right leg. We're going to start with our warrior three. So this is the time for your assistant. So your brick or your paper towel container. You have like even just one paper towel, but it's still like, it's hard if it is going to unfurl, but if it's still got plastic on it, that'll work. Okay. Or you can use a chair. This is a pretty low chair. Okay. Standing on your right leg, you're going to put your brick forward of your body. Right, couple of feet. Less than that, perhaps. And if you have two bricks, you can use two bricks, that's fine too. And we're going to lengthen into our forward fold flat back. And with our hips together, so if our knees are lined up horizontally, let me just demonstrate that. If your knees are lined up horizontally, and they're not one knee in front of the other, that is a pretty good sign that your hips are also square. So that's a great reason why when you're working on warrior three, starting with your legs together and doing a little check there is a great way to assure even hips. Then we're just going to use the glute to straighten our back leg back, and then we're going to radiate, trying not to open the hips at all. So let's come back in. Yeah? That feels low to me today. I'm going to try this chair. Yeah, knees together, soften, hips square, belly lock. Slide the leg back using your glute, but without lifting with your back, yeah? So we want to separate those things as two different actions. You can also do this against the wall. So you grab the wall, knees together, hips together, slide the leg back, use just your glute. Try not to lift with your back yet. And we're going to come into warrior three. Now your drishti here, your focal point is the floor. So bearing that in mind, you can soften and straighten that leg. And then experiment with opening the hips and coming back together to flat. Bring your feet together. And rest. Let's try the other side. Standing on your left foot. Check your knees together to start. Slide your right leg back out. Keep that right hip down as you use your glutes. Lift the leg. Feel that flat back, really square hips. So the nice thing about having something to rest on here is you can really focus on adjusting that pelvis and lifting that leg without so much focus on balance. And that's not because you're not using all those exercises, all those muscles that you need for balance. You are. You just lessen the load a little bit. So you reach your foot back a little bit as you open the hips. Good. And close them and down. Drop your hips. Yeah. Move it back. Big breath, and let's flow it together. Exhale. Straight arms. Bring them in front of your chest. Let your body shift forward. Reach your leg back. Warrior three. Take your hands back to your pelvis. Square in. Outside your hip is probably very tired. We've done a lot here today. Front knee goes straight forward. Lifting your back leg, there's your swan. Press into the floor with support to rise back to warrior three. Open the hips. Bring it back. Fall out of it. Every once in a while, fall out of it. Have a little left. Here we go, left side. Starting knees together. Big body. Hands to your hips and for your breaks. Your leg a little longer. Bend into your standing legs. Straighten that standing legs. Forward. Open your hips and chest. Woo! Follow. Yeah. Here we're going to do the same action again. This time, option wall. Do you have a wall? You know what we're going to do. We're going to go lean forward into warrior three. We're going to bend and straighten the leg. We're going to open it up to half moon. Yeah? So if you have a wall, stand with your right side next to the wall. We're going to start with the right leg, and the break is close to the wall. So I'm not exactly touching the wall here. Is that what I want to do? In fact, I'm going to kind of turn open a little bit because I want my booty to touch the ground wall when I open up. So I may be 3-4 inches from the wall for my hip size. All right, stretching up. Pelvic floor lift, centering the legs, heart forward. Tip that body slowly. Remember, you can do warrior A. You can do warrior three and half moon with your foot still on the ground here. Yeah. So bust up A is toe touching. Bust up B is experimenting with toe off. C is like 45-degree angle. D is almost flat. E is when you're not just flat, but also using your glute to get that thigh in line with your back. If you have a break, go to it. Open your hips against the wall. Now the wall can now touch both of your cheeks, your butt cheeks I mean, and pull those shoulders back. And I can see for myself that my break is too far forward because I want my hand to be underneath my shoulder. And then remember at the beginning of class we talked about how does your foot feel. So I can feel that my foot right now feels a lot of pressure on the outside of that foot. And that lets me know that my butt is falling into the wall a little bit too much. So I'm going to squeeze my glute a little bit and shift my weight into the center of that foot. Remember to fall out of it when you're ready. Soft. Go back. Turn to the other side. Now I'm turning your left side to the wall. Pelvic floor lifts. So root chakra, belly, arms up. Come to your warrior three. Warrior three bust up A. Warrior three bust up B. Settling it out. Just passing through the swan for this one. Opening those hips. Letting the wall support you. Alright, look down at your standing legs. Remember, knee and toe still needs to be pointing the same direction when we really open our hips. This knee tends to come away from the wall, so we have to open that leg. The external rotators. It's hard to do. Check in with your foot. How are you feeling? I told him water me. Good. Roll it. Beautiful. You one more round each side, and I'd like you to choose which version that we've done today is the one you want to do. You could do it back on your knee in the floor. You could do it on the floor with your brick. You could do it on the wall again if that was really like ding. Whichever one made you feel like, oh, light bulb moment, that's the one I want you to try again. Or you can try middle of the floor. So that would be like definitely thinking about balance, yeah? Don't be afraid or shy about using your brick. Your brick is there to bring the floor up to your hand, and it's good for you. So don't feel like you're not doing it right if you're using your Prof. That's just your silly brain weasel being rude. All right, legs together. Bring in, lift up. Find your straight body. Find your warrior three. Your balancing stick is another name for this pose. Think about that center line. Find your warrior three, bend and straighten. Use your brick. Open those arms. You can keep looking down at the floor, or you can look out to the side. I like to look at the floor. Push into the mat. Use your foot's intelligence to help you make your balance adjustments. Good, come on. Forget it. Don't hang on to that tension. Let it go. Supporting through your standing leg. Your foot is telling you how your balance is doing. See your face. Come on out. Big. We're going to take your left leg up as high as you can. You're going to lift down. Let it go. We're going to point your knee and toe of your left leg straight forward. Take your right knee up as high as you can. Look down at your knee and toe. Now, one of the things that I find interesting about balance here is that our center line is right in the middle of the pelvis. And some of us have quite narrow pelvises, like only as wide as 2 feet. Not this girl, yeah? My pelvis is wide in the bones. And so that means it's really easy when I shift my weight, it's easy for you to see. If I'm standing right in the middle, my belly button and my pubics are on the center line, right? But if I need to stand on one leg, I need to move this over like a full 4, maybe not 3 inches. I have to move it 3 inches over while keeping my pelvis flat. So let's do this a little bit. Yeah, notice how your booty wants to go back as part of that, which is great when you're dancing, but for the shifting of the weight, we want to keep that long vertical tailbone and the lifted belly lock. So to shift onto one leg, my belly button goes all the way over, yeah? And I have to kind of sit down to keep it legal. With that feeling in mind, we're going to stand on your right leg, we're going to bring left leg up, and making sure my hips are level, I'm going to look down, make sure my knee is over my toe, yeah? No twisting knees here. Knees over my toe to cross the thighs as high as possible for eagle pose. Yeah, so if you're just crossing your ankle, that is okay. If that's all you can do. But keep trying to get those thighs to cross as high as possible. Front knee and toe are still pointing forward. Even those hips out. I'm going to change the camera angle. And eagle is really important to use centering, so you're actually squeezing those thighs together. And sitting back. And then for the flat, it looks like I'm done, right? No. I want to squeeze those legs together. And I'm going to bring my heart back over my hips. Top leg is bottom arm. I cross above the elbow. I bend both elbows. If you can wrap your hands together, that's great. And you're going to sit down. Release your eagle. Try the other side. Belly button way over for balance. Tailbone back. Left leg up. Crossing. Sorry, this is your left leg supporting. Straight forward. Bringing your heart. Woo! Coming back over your pelvis. Now this should be very challenging, more challenging than before when we did this, because we've done a lot of work that involved your outer hips today. So these muscles are already fatigued. Remember we talked about fatigue earlier in class today? They're already out of the juice that they have stored in them, so it's harder to hold a pose when your muscles are already tired. That may seem obvious, but I'm pointing it out because I want us to learn to be aware of the different sensations that your muscles may be feeling. You might be feeling a soft burn in your thighs or on the outside of your hips. Right, back to your eagle. Right leg supporting. Top leg is bottom arm. Crossing above the elbow is how you get that arm wrap to happen. And then you're going to lift your elbows up, pull your belly and heart back to vertical. Squeeze and sit. Feel that juicy support from your standing leg. You're an eagle at the top of a mountain perusing the land beneath you. Release. Last time.
We have to forget it all, not just pretend, but erase a little bit more today, a bit more day by day. Girl, you set my soul at ease. The sweet, never as sweet. Without us.
Big breath in. Exhale. Exhale. Move your chest.
Never as sweet.
Exhale. All right, one time through. Those with gentle knees, we're going down to the floor. You can skip this. Legs together.
Never as sweet.
Belly lock in. Heart forward. Heels up. Knees forward. With your heels off the ground. Definitely with your heels off the ground. And we're centering and pushing into the floor to let ourselves lower. Respect your needs. It's not for everybody, yeah? Good. Rock it back. Big breath in. Just rest your forehead on your knees. Breathe breath. Holding those knees. Medial outside. You did medial quads. You did outsides of your hips. So gluteus medius and minimus. Go ahead and bring those knees to your chest. And we're going to do some stretches to close today that definitely work on stretching out those glutes glutes and the outside of your hips. So go ahead and take a moment to rock. And then we're going to take your right knee in and send your left leg out. And it can be anywhere out that's comfortable where your hips are staying even on the floor and your back is near the ground. We're going to just take this left leg up for a moment. Sorry, I switched words on you. Let's all have our right leg in the air today. And we're going to soften it into our chest and extend it. But don't straighten your legs so much that it straightens out away from your body. I want you to bend and straighten, keeping that thigh in. So I'm going to hold my thigh to my chest, and I'm going to softly extend here with my thigh to my chest. And that might be here for you, or here, and that's great. You want to stretch that in the thigh. Yeah, it's not important to get straight. When you're doing this stretch, you might feel what I call tickle me Elmo, which is the moment that is the edge for your flexibility in a particular muscle that day. And tickle me Elmo is where you get to the edge of that stretch and involuntary jiggle happens. I'm going to exaggerate mine so you can see it. Yeah? So I call that your tickle me Elmo spot. You do not want to pass that place. What is happening there is that your body is firing up its reflex, and the reflex is made to protect your muscle from tearing. So that means your body is saying, oh, this is the edge, this is the edge. And it's okay to hang out in your tickle me Elmo spot, but you don't want to try and push past it. That's it for today. Let's take a big breath in. That's what your tickle me Elmo spot is telling you about that muscle. So that's it for today. Try and soften your shoulders. Remember, breath here. And then bend that knee again. And now this knee is pretty much in front of the same side of my chest. I'm going to take that knee to the opposite shoulder and hold it across the body. And notice when you do this, your hip's going to try and rise. So I want you to bring your hip back down to the ground and use both arms to press your thigh into your chest. And this should be getting the outside of your hip. But for me, my body is very protective of itself here. So I feel my hip flexor actually start to have sort of a tickle me Elmo spasm when I do this stretch at first. And I have to slow down and let this part of my body release before I can get into the hip stretch. So if you notice that, you're not alone, but for the most part, you should be able to just pull your thigh across the body and feel the stretch here in your glute. If you're with me and your hip flexors are like, hey, what are you doing? Then pause, slow down, and breathe with me. And you may notice that we are essentially in a pigeon pose right now. Okay, keeping that knee across the body, we're going to slowly extend partway and bend again that leg. And just notice where you feel things you might feel really tight. Right here in the tendon, that's your outside hamstring. You might not feel that at all. You might feel it more in your glute and your external rotators. So slow and thoughtful motion here as you explore this across the body stretch. And I'm going to turn my body again so you can see how I'm taking the thigh across the body. So my knee is across my torso. It's above my waist, and you might not just barely be straightening your leg at all, and that's totally fine, yeah? If you're just working right here and you're feeling the stretch, you're doing a great job. Be careful here that you are keeping your knee pointing that way and not, well, actually, I guess both of those are good places. Anyway, knee and toe together, that's what I meant to say. Knee and toe together. Your leg is extending across the body. Both hips right now are on the floor. Let's find our breath. stretch that starts to really get into the IT band and the whole thigh, because that leg is really crossing your body. It doesn't have to be very straight, but it's your spot. Then slow down and take 2 deep breaths. Slow in and out there in that spot. This is really opening up my external rotators and my piriformis. So I'm actually feeling a little bit of tingling in the outside of my foot here because I'm stretching those muscles that are pressing on the nerve that goes down to the pinky toe. Go ahead and soften that knee, bring it back to your chest and slowly walk it down. And stretch it out long. Just one long body. One more breath here. Bring both in. Gently let the stretched leg find a comfortable position, which can still be bent for you or might be long and straight. I'm going to start bent because I'm going to first pull my front knee in, and I want to really focus on just this left leg. So I'm not going to try and straighten my right leg and be all long and lengthy until I've really found the deep stretch for my left leg. So we hold the thigh for this one. Please resist the urge to grab your calf to help you stretch it. I know that's what we all are tempted to do, but I want you to hold that thigh and focus on keeping that thigh close to the body as you start to bend and straighten your left leg. Maybe you find that tickle me elmo spot on the leg, and maybe you don't, and it definitely does not have to happen all the time. So don't feel like that's something you need to look for. Just notice when it does happen and treat that with respect, please. Bring that thigh a little closer. Little stretch there. Hold. Tickle the elbow. Alright, go ahead and soften. And bring that knee across the body. So you're pressing, holding with both hands if you want to, pressing that thigh across the body. I like to think about it going to the opposite shoulder. You can notice the hip wants to come up and then maybe lean that hip back down to the floor. Notice if your hip flexors get triggered, mine do. And breathe past it. Alright, friends. Here we go. Extending across the body. Take your time. Remember respecting when your body asks you to slow down, keeping the thigh close. We're not trying to get straight, we're trying to keep the thigh close. Increasing your range of motion with the thigh close to your chest. It's not the same as straightening your leg down here where you can't hold on to it. Yeah, so it might stay very bent and you might be fully working on that stretch. Breathe into it.
Walking in a field of fall, cliff on the horizon won't be long. silhouettes of oaks behind, teachings from another time. Will we ever meet each other? Will we soon discover? You're not the only one.
Gently let it back
You,
in. Slowly walking.
you're not the only one. You,
Let your arms be wide.
yeah, you.
Big breath
You're
in.
not the only
Slow that breath down. Bring your arms down by your side. Breathe. Just breathe. Shavasana here. Big breath. Your arms up above your head. Lengthen that body.
one.
Exhale. Draw the shoulders and wings in behind you. And stretch your fingertips down on those ankles. Reach one leg and the other. So you're lengthening through your left leg and then your right leg. Feel how that tips your hips. Big breath in. And drop your heavy lower back down into that leg. And we're going to take our last few breaths as long as possible. So breathing into the nose. Filling your front chest. Keep on breathing in. Slowly exhale. Here goes. Right on. Let it go out as one. Let your eyes open and wiggle around and rock your hips. Bring your legs together. And let that rocking of your hips massage on the side. Take your cross. Missing out on meditation today. But hopefully with any thorough hip investigation. You got your quads and your spine up. Talked a lot about balance today. Whether you want to stay laying down or come and sit up for our last couple breaths together. So just take a moment. Close our eyes. And be grateful. Grateful for your legs. If you've got two of them, that's something special. If you've got one, that's really incredible. If you've got no legs, that's pretty dang amazing. Whatever it is that makes you do, you had time to do this practice, and you found time to give yourself this gift. Grateful for what we got here. We're Thursday. Even better. Hi guys, how was it? Hi Patrick, thank you. Yeah, Jonathan, it's great to have you here live. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Clara. Glad you got a good workout. Yay, Jessica, good job. Thank you, Persephone. Hi, Sophia. Hi, Gavin. Hi, Daisy. Yay! I'm glad you guys were sweaty. That's awesome. Thank you. It's good to see you. Hi, Jasmine, Emma, Clara, Anna.